New problems are surfacing for the Air Force here in New Mexico. We all knew about the jet fuel spill uncovered beneath Kirtland Air Force Base. Now comes the realization the groundwater supplies at Holloman Air Force Base near Alamogordo are contaminated in off-the-chart numbers. The story was broken this week by our land correspondent Laura Paskus, who also covers the environment for the New Mexico Political Report. NMIF executive producer Kevin McDonald sat down with her earlier this week to find out just how bad that contamination is and what's being done about it.
How bad is the situation at Holloman? What did you find out?
It's pretty bad. So it turns out that there's some groundwater contamination below Holloman Air Force Base, and a few years ago the EPA set standards for these human-made substances. The whole class of compounds is called PFAS at 70 parts per trillion for a lifetime human exposure, and the levels down below Holloman are 18,000 times that recommended lifetime.
I guess the big question that everybody wants to know is, was Holloman aware of this, and for how long, and do we know that?
Right, so to back up a little bit, a few years ago, the Department of Defense started looking at its bases nationwide to see where there might have been exposure to this firefighting foam that has the PFAS in it. And then they started doing site inspections to see if the chemical could have been released there, has it gotten into the groundwater or the soil. And so they started doing these site inspections. And so the report from Holloman is dated November 2018.
Okay, so that is really pretty recent. And real quick, before we get into the health risks, wanted to make sure that everybody understands this is a very different situation than what we know and what you've reported at Kirtland, right?
That's right. It's a totally different types of contamination and pathways.
That was a leak of jet fuel there at Kirtland, and this again, best we can tell, they have this special retardant for specifically petroleum fires that they do training with all the time, and that's a known source of these PFAS contaminants, right?
Mm-hmm. And they're part of a family of human-made compounds that were manufactured beginning in the 1970s, and in the United States, most of them have been phased out over the last decade or so. But the same family also includes the chemical, if you remember news reports from a few years ago, that was in Teflon. So it's that same kind of family of human-made compounds. And they're persistent. So these compounds stay in the ecosystem, in the water for a really long time. They travel through the groundwater, but they also bioaccumulate, so they move up the food chain. So even if we get rid of them, if we stop making them, we stop using them, if they're present in the environment, they're persistent.
Let's take a step back and talk about, so 18,000 times acceptable levels. And so what kind of health risks are we talking about?
PFAS they're what's considered an emerging contaminant, so we're still learning about them. They're still being studied. But among the health impacts that the government and researchers and scientists understand is they're related to certain types of cancers, certain types of complications with pregnancy and birth defects, also liver disease. So there's kind of a wide range of pretty serious health impacts.
And do we know what kind of danger the folks at Holloman have been put under then?
That's another really good question. So according to the site inspection report, the tests where PFAS was found are from groundwater wells below Holloman. And that groundwater supply, according to the report, is not used for drinking water. It's brackish water. And you might have heard people talking about the importance of brackish water in a state like New Mexico where water resources are scarce. And there's been some discussion of how do we take advantage of that brackish groundwater. But right now it's not a drinking water source for anyone, according to the site inspection report. But I know, it makes me think about all of the airmen and personnel and firefighters and construction workers and all sorts of people who've been exposed to the contamination over the decades when they were actively working with these substances.
What about surrounding areas, agriculture, people living around there?
So the city of Alamogordo has drinking water wells, and there are private drinking water wells in that area. According to the site inspection report, they draw from that same brackish water base, so they wouldn't be using that brackish water for drinking water, but the New Mexico Environment Department has said that they're interested specifically in 10 or 11 wells around the base and making sure to find out, first of all, if they are being used and if they are being used for irrigation, industrial, or potable water use.
You're still working on this, or maybe more on this week, but it also comes at a time basically right as one administration was leaving and another administration was coming in. So you did have the opportunity to talk to the new Environment Secretary. What was the response there?
I did. So Secretary-designate James Kenney was very concerned about the report, very concerned about what needs to be done immediately to understand the situation, and also what kinds of options New Mexico has in terms of compelling the Air Force to be working on a cleanup, mitigation, remediation. The New Mexico Environment Department and the administration of Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham are very concerned about the issue and trying to understand exactly what's going on.
In your report, there's also a lot from our congressional delegation, specifically Ben Ray Lujan. What's he trying to do?
So it's actually thanks to a letter from Representative Ben Ray Lujan and then Congresswoman Michelle Lujan Grisham to the Secretary of the Air Force that he even found out about this report. When there were reports of contamination at Cannon Air Force Base last year, the two congressional delegates were asking the Air Force to improve its relationship with the community and communication on what's happening at Cannon. And they were also requesting the site inspection reports for Kirtland Air Force Base and Holloman Air Force Base, which were submitted to the New Mexico Environment Department. And so that's how I found out that there were even reports for the other two bases as well.
After we sat down with Laura, Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham and the New Mexico congressional delegation did have a phone call with Air Force Secretary Heather Wilson and expressed concerns about the situation at Holloman. The State Environment Department also issued a notice of violation to the Air Force for contamination at Holloman. Head to NewMexicoInFocus.org to read more about the local response to this story, as well as the rest of our interview with Laura Paskus.